Hello everyone, welcome to the operating system series. We are doing this short-term scheduling algorithm that is called as CPU scheduling. In the last session we did the first come first serve algorithm. In this particular session we'll be doing the other algorithm that is called as the shortest job first SJF algorithm. Now this SJF algorithm comes in two versions. One is the non-preemptive, other is the preemptive. So today we'll be doing the non-preemptive case. So in this particular case, the process which has the shortest CPU burst is executed first. So we can say in this case the process which has the least CPU burst is executed, or the shortest process is executed first, and so on. Okay. And finally the process which has the largest CPU burst is executed next. So let us see a particular animation based on this, and then we can go for solving a problem based on SJF. So we have this animation. So first process P1 comes into the memory and it has the CPU burst is 7 millisecond. The second process P2 arrives, it has 4 millisecond CPU burst. Then the third process is P3 having 8 millisecond CPU burst, and the fourth process is P4 having 3 millisecond as a CPU burst. Now out of this four process, the one which has the least CPU burst will be executed first. In this case what we observe is P4 is having the least CPU burst, the smallest process, so it goes for execution. So P4 goes for execution, and after this we see the next one, the least with the least CPU burst is P2 with 4 millisecond. It goes for the execution. Okay. And after this we see out of these two, P1 is having the least among the two CPU burst, so P1 goes, and finally we have P3. Okay, and in this way the process gets completed. Okay, so this SJF, we can see that as compared to the other algorithms, this is the most optimal algorithm. Okay, it gives the least waiting time. Let us see the problem based on this. So now we consider this example. So we have this set of processes P1, P2, P3, P4 with this CPU burst. You need to find the average waiting time and average turnaround time using the SJF algorithm. So first we draw the Gantt chart. So in this Gantt chart we see first process P4 comes, so it is of 3 milliseconds, so it runs from 0 to 3. Then the next small process is P2 with CPU burst 4, so 3 plus 4 is 7, so this is P2. Then after this we are left with P1 and P3. So P1 is smaller than P3, so P1 goes for execution. It is for 7 milliseconds, so 7 plus 7 is 14. And finally the last one is P3 with CPU burst 8, so 14 plus 8 is 22. So this is the Gantt chart. Now from the Gantt chart we find the waiting time. So waiting time is the one where the process starts. So here we have, this is 0 for P4, so this is 0 for P4. Okay, and then for P2 we have 3, so this is 3, and for P1 we have 7, this is 7, so this is 7, and for P3 we have 14, so this is the individual waiting time. Okay, now after finding the individual waiting time, we find the average by adding all this 4 and dividing it by 4, so 7 plus 3 plus 14 plus 0, and divide by 4, so we get 6 milliseconds. So this 24 divided by 4 is 6 milliseconds. So average waiting time is 6 milliseconds. Now next we see how to calculate the average turnaround time. So we again take this Gantt chart here. So this is the Gantt chart we saw in the previous slide. So what is the turnaround time? So when we start with, because P4 started first, then P2, P1 and P3 followed. So for finding the turnaround time of individual process, we have to see where the process ends. So P4 ends at you can see 3. Okay, so this 3, you can see this 3, this is the turnaround time for P4. Then for P2 we have 7, so this is 7. Then P1 it is 14, so here we write 14, and for P3 the last one is 22. So this is what we get. So this is this are the individual turnaround time. Now in order to calculate the average turnaround time, we just add all this 14 plus 7 plus 22 plus 3 and divide by 4. So we get the final answer is 11.5 millisecond. So this 11.5 millisecond is the average turnaround time for this particular set of processes. So that's all for this particular session. We have done the non-preemptive SJF case. In the next session we will do the preemptive SJF case. Thanks for watching.